Hello, everyone. Welcome to our part 2 discussion of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. If you are just tuning in and just like popping in on this video randomly, we did a part 1 discussion of these because we did the tandem read for it. So I don't think it's linked down below right now, but I will try to link it after we finish this. So it will be up eventually. But we did a part 1 discussion where we discussed the first two halves of this. So now we're going to discuss the second two halves and kind of the endings and stuff like that. But I'll let Christina introduce herself.
Hello, I am Christina. My channel's name is Christina's Chapters, and I am still not mentally nor emotionally okay.
Did you just finish this morning?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's fresh.
My
I am
state.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just like, my emotional state just doesn't really know how to compute at the moment.
Yeah, it's a rough ending. I do want to apologize if you can hear my voice is a little croaky. I'm starting to like lose my voice. So if I sound like a chain smoker, I apologize. But I have some like throat lozenges and I just drank like a huge cup of tea, so hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. But yeah, so this is going to be a very spoilery discussion. So again, if you are just tuning in, please be careful. So we're talking about Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, but also talking spoilers for like all of the previous books. So if you haven't read it yet, go and read it. You've been warned. Spoilers ahead. So we are gonna kind of pick up where we left off, like in the discussion wise. Oh, I should also mention our Discord. We didn't get a lot of like use out of our Discord this past couple weeks. I don't know if it's just because it's the start of summer, but if you do want to join our Discord, it is linked down below where we can kind of discuss the books as we read them, rather than just on the live show, even though the live show is very fun. But if you did want to join that, it is linked down below. All right, so let's dive in here. So Christina, why don't you give us your like overall thoughts? I know we kind of discussed it a little bit in the first part of it and give your rating and all that. And I'm going to plug in my computer.
I loved these two. Empire of Storms. Oh my god. It's very close to being my favorite book of the series so far. It oh my god, it caught me by surprise. The first half was still really good, but oh my god, that second half was insane.
I remember in our part 1 of this discussion, I remember you saying like, yeah, I'm not really feeling Empire of Storms. Like I still like it, but I'm like, oh, the second half is really where it hits.
Yeah, the second half I had the complete opposite opinion. The second half I was dreading picking up Tower of Dawn. I still love Tower of Dawn, so I gave both of these 5 stars. I loved both of them.
Yay!
I loved Tower of Dawn. I loved Empire of Storms. I loved Empire of Storms more, obviously, than Tower of Dawn. But I love Tower of Dawn. And there are certain reasons why I love Tower of Dawn. And it's Hannah's probably not gonna like me, but it's fine. I did enjoy Tower of Dawn. I like seeing that side of Kale.
Christina, I will always love you.
Good to know. You know what it is? I did not do the one thing that would literally cause Hannah to just disown me.
And the friendship.
Yeah. Because if I didn't read Assassin's Blade first, we would not be here, y'all. We would not be here.
I won't let my friends do that.
Hannah guided me in the right way, and she's guiding everybody else in the right way. Not do it the wrong way, y'all.
But I love that our like friend group is like forcing it on people too. We're like, read Assassin's Blade first.
I feel like it's like every single live show that any of us are on now. It's like
we have to mention it because there's so many people that say to read it like after Crown of Midnight or after Heir, and we're like, no.
Yeah, please do not do that. Do it the right way, y'all. Trust me, it's so worth it. But I loved these two. I loved them so much.
So you would say that you liked Empire of Storms more, though?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just curious. Not like if you would have said Tower of Dawn was better, I wouldn't have been upset. Like, it's fine.
No. I loved Empire of Storms because there's so much more action that goes on in Empire of Storms.
Yeah.
Tower of Dawn, I appreciated it for what it was.
So everybody knows that this is one of my faves. This was an obvious 5 stars. This one, I like it. I know why it exists. I'm glad that it's there. but it's a 4-star for me, which is like very rare. Like this one and maybe Catwoman might be the only books that I've given 4 stars to of Sarah J. Maas's. And honestly, I don't even remember because I haven't reread Catwoman. I read it years ago when it came out, and I may have given it 5 stars. I don't even remember. So we'll have to see on the reread. But yeah, this one's a 4-star for me. I'm just not the biggest fan of Kale, as we all know. And although he is more tolerable in this one, like he still annoys the fuck out of me. So I just can't like, I don't know. It mostly follows him, but I do really like um, Nezrin's point of view and Sartak, their whole thing. I do like Irene, but like the fact that she likes Kale is just like a red flag to me.
I think that's why I love Tower of Dawn so much, though, because I love Irene. Like, genuinely, I love Irene, y'all. Like, I really do.
I really do like Irene. I really liked her point of view too. I like how sassy she was in the beginning. But yeah, Empire of Storms is, I think it's my second favorite in the series after Queen of Shadows. Like so much happens in this book. It is like constant action scenes.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love it. And like you get a lot of answers in this one as well. And you get some answers in Tower of Dawn too, but like things are really coming together in this one.
Insane.
So I'm excited. Oh, I just hit myself in the head. I'm really excited to discuss it.
Oh my God, so much happened.
Here.
It was insane.
Adrian joining us. Hello. Hi, bestie queens. In line at Starbucks right now, but wouldn't miss this for the world. I love that Rachel's like, it's 8 a.m. here. Is that really the time you want to do this? That's great. Friends don't let friends read Throne of Glass without reading Assassin's Creed first. Exactly.
We should put that on a t-shirt, y'all.
Yeah. Tower of Dawn was 4 stars for me too. Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the comments what you rated both of these, and let us know if you did the tandem read when you were joining us. Because I know some people were like, I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna do the tandem read. So let us know if you did the tandem read and what you thought of that. I know Christina, you kind of mentioned it before, but what are your thoughts on the tandem read?
So for the tandem read, I'm a little I'm kind of indecisive about the tandem read. Although I didn't hate the tandem read, I just hated going back and forth. I hated having to constantly stop to pick the other one up, having to constantly remember what chapter to stop at so I can pick the next one up. And like the constant back and forth was dreadful. And I didn't really like it for like the first half. I didn't really like the tandem read because I hated going back and forth, and I started confusing the stories together. Like they kind of all became one story for me.
It does definitely feel like one giant book.
It literally does. It feels like a huge book. But I will say, because of the ending of Empire of Storms, I would not be able to tolerate Tower of Dawn. Now, also, another opinion. I think if I read Tower of Dawn after reading Empire of Storms, I would not have liked it as much.
Right. So I still like, I'm still glad that I kind of pushed to do the tandem read for our read along. I can see both sides, like pros and cons for each, because I can totally see like it is a lot of work to flip back and forth and like keep track of what chapters you're on and keep constantly looking at that document so you don't accidentally read a chapter too far or something, and like switching back and forth. It is a lot. I will say that it is a lot.
I was doing just to keep track. I had to like thing it on my phone so I knew like where
you were. Yeah. So like I still stand by the tandem read as like a good reading experience.
Yeah.
Specifically because of the ending of Empire of Storms, which we will talk in detail about. But you guys know how like intense that ending is, and that it ends on like kind of a cliffhanger because we don't really know what's going to happen, and we leave off with one of our favorite characters, our main character, in an absolutely impossible situation. And for me, like I'm like, Christina, you are lucky that you get to pick up Kingdom of Ash like next, because when I read this the first time, this book had just come out and I had to wait a year and a half, and then it was announced that we got this book instead of continuing the story. And then I had to wait another year and a half to get Kingdom of Ash. So it was like torture. Like it was really difficult because I'm like, I just want to know what's going on with Aelin. I want to know that she's okay. Like I want to be back with my favorite characters.
Y'all.
I still stand by the tandem read because now we have finished this and we get to go right into.
Yes. So one thing I will say is I do think the tandem read is fantastic for a reread. I think the tandem read on reread would be so much fun. I still think everyone should try the tandem read.
Yeah.
I just think that for the first time reading it, it's just a little hard. But because of the ending of Empire of Storm, I think I would still recommend the tandem read just because if you read Empire of Storms and then go into Tower of Dawn, you will despise Tower of Dawn.
Right. You're like, I don't want to read about this stuff. Like, I don't care right now.
It's like, mind you, Tower of Dawn, like the things that happen in Tower of Dawn take place after Queen of Shadows. Pretty much. You know what I mean? Like
it picks up where Queen of Shadows left off, just following those characters.
Exactly. So it's like, it's kind of like jumping back.
Yep.
When it's like, I don't want to be here.
Right. Like, so that's why I like the tandem read, because you still get to see everything and it's all happening all at once anyways. But it definitely is like a project to do the flip-flop between the books, and you gotta lug both of these heavy books around.
I know. It was hard. I was hugging. Oh my God. I was at work, right? And I had both of these. I was reading it during my lunch. So I literally was eating and I was like flipping back and forth. And Doc, my boss, came in. He was like, "Are you reading 2 books at the same time?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a tandem read." He was like, So you're reading 2 books at the same time?" I'm like, "Yes, Doc. I'm reading 2 books." I didn't even try explaining tandem read to him. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just reading 2 books at the same time. That's what I'm doing. I'm just taking turns, chapter by chapter."
Rachel, Tower of Dawn is 3 stars and Empire of Storms is 5. Haven't started my reread yet, though. We'll be doing that soon, and maybe TOD will change. Rachel, are you going to do the tandem read on your reread, or are you going to try to do, because I can't remember what she said. I think she said she was going to try to do the tandem read.
I think so, too.
I don't know what Sahara is doing either, but I know they're buddy reading it. So. Yes. Empire of Storms is 5 stars, Tower of Dawn 4 stars. Yes, Adrienne, we are aligned here. I read them separately. I don't know if I'll try the tandem read in my reread. It might be too jarring for me. Yeah, reading them separately isn't like the worst thing ever. Like, it's still fine, but I just like the tandem read because it keeps you, like, keeps your momentum moving forward with the story.
Yes.
Yes, I am tandem all the way. Yeah, I'm excited for you to read it that way because I want to see like what your thoughts are on it and if you prefer it the other way.
Yeah.
Never done it, but y'all convinced me. Yeah, I'm excited for you to do it. Sahara is still on Heir of Fire, so I'm not sure when she's picking up these books. Oh God, Rachel, are you just like, you're like, all right, I'm buddy reading it, but like I'm not waiting, or are you gonna like slow down and try to wait for her?
I don't think I'm going to wait for Kingdom of Ash. Like, I think I'm going to just start Kingdom of Ash this week. Because I think we'll probably our sprints soon, but like I usually start them during our sprints. I don't think I'm gonna start during our sprints. I don't think I'm gonna wait till our sprints.
I think we also decided that we're gonna do 3 weeks for Kingdom of Ash as well instead of 2, just because it's a 1,000-page book. Yeah. So that gives, I mean, people work, not me, but other people do.
I work, y'all. I work and I do YouTube on the side, and I have to maintain an apartment, and my life is already chaotic as it is, y'all.
Yeah, and also like giving yourself that extra time kind of relieves some of that pressure of like, I have to read this now. So it gives you a little extra time. So just in case you're wondering, we're going to spend 3 weeks starting like what, tomorrow?
I think so, yeah.
So 3 weeks from tomorrow, and we'll talk about all of our dates and times and all of that stuff. So all right, let's dive into the like events that happened. So we left off and we started this second half with Empire of Storms and the massive battle that goes on in Skulls Bay, which is one of my favorite scenes of the entire series. So we have, you know, the Valg coming in ships to Skulls Bay because Aelin kind of sent this like power surge out to be like, hey bitches, I'm here. And she's kind of trying to prove to Rolf that he needs to ally with them. So we start with that, and then just like chaos ensues, honestly. Like Lysandra has been working up to be able to like shift into the sea wyvern, which is insanely cool. That whole like every single scene from her point of view as a sea wyvern, I'm just like, she's such a badass.
I love her. I love Lysandra.
I love her.
The way that she's even able to like shapeshift the way that she is. But I like the way that Sarah J. Maas has her character because it's not like she's just able to do it. She has to work her way up to it.
Right.
It's believable, and I love that.
Right. I like that there's like limits to the powers.
Yes, I love that.
Even with Aylin's power. Like, yes, she is probably the most powerful fae in this realm, but there are limits to what she can do. She can burn out, she can use too much of her magic, she can pull too much of it at a time, and then she's like, vulnerable. I like that it's just not like she's so powerful she can obliterate anyone. Like, there is some, like, what am I trying to say? Like, conflict almost with it. Like,
Yeah.
she has some things that kind of hold her back there, so she can't just like make everything super easy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that's one thing that I definitely do appreciate that Sarah J. Maas does. Like, and I love how you could also see them work their way up to it, and you see the process of what they have to do. Because I find that very, very entertaining.
Yeah. We also have that scene during that battle where Deanna like comes and takes over Aylin's body, like a literal god takes over Aylin's body and like takes her power from her. How freaking scary would that be to just like be possessed by a god? Like, oh my god.
I didn't know what the heck was going on. I had to go back and reread it. I'm like, did she just possess her? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, what? I didn't know what happened.
I remember reading that and being like, oh shit, like she could do whatever she wants because Aylin is so powerful. Like, she could do whatever she wants.
That was so bizarre to me. It was so like out of this world. I'm like, holy hell.
And like she turns to go like obliterate like Rolf's village. And Rowan is like, this would destroy Aylin, like if she actually did that. So he jumps in front of her, and that's what snaps Aylin out of it. And she's like, no, get out of my body, bitch. And like kicks a god out. Like, that shit is cool.
Like, how do you just like, she fought, like, okay, here's the thing about her, right? The minute she sees the love of her life, Rowan, right then and there, snaps back. How in the hell do you just tell a god to be like, fuck off?
I literally love that about her because it's like, it's so Aylin.
I loved it. I was like, no fucking way she just did that. She literally was just like there, right? She had like no control at all. And then out of nowhere, 2 seconds, she sees Rowan, and that's it. That's all it took.
I like that that's what it took.
Love it. And I love Rowan so much.
This is my first time reading through this series. I'm so excited to read Kingdom of Ash with you both. Yay! I'm so excited for you to read it too. It's such a good finale, in my opinion. I just love Kingdom of Ash. It's one of my faves. Heading to the lake. Ooh, have fun. Can't wait to watch this back later. Have fun discussing. Oh, we will.
Well, I hope you read a lot at the lake. That sounds so peaceful.
I love Lysandra. Honestly, I like Lysandra in Queen of Shadows, but I love Lysandra in Empire of Storms.
I already loved Lysandra as it was. I really did like her character in Queen of Shadows, but holy hell. In Empire of Storms, y'all, she just like, she brought it in Empire of Storms with all the shape-keeping abilities that she had, the way that she was able to do so much to help them out and stuff, y'all. It was unbelievable.
I also love her and Aylin's friendship.
Like, oh my god, yes.
I really liked it in Queen of Shadows when like Lysandra gets captured and they have to go and save her. Or is that in the beginning of this one? No, that's in Queen of Shadows.
I was like, I don't think it's an Empire Storm.
Yeah, it's in Queen of Shadows. But like where Aylin is like, please help me get her back. Because it's like her first female friend that she's had since Bohemia.
Yeah.
And like just their conversations together are so adorable. I just love that. I love that they took it, like Sarah J. Maas took it from Assassin's Blade, where they were like enemies. Like, yeah, rivals. They did not get along. And like reading it back, I'm like, ooh, it's kind of like women hate women. I'm not vibing with that, but I love how that developed into this like beautiful, cute, adorable friendship. I just love them.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm not waiting. LOL. She said she'll catch up to me. We are casually buddy reading, so I'm just going to keep going. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Especially because I have read Kingdom of Ash in August because I'll be on. Oh, I have to read Kingdom of Ash in August because I'll be on vacay in September. So I really need to get this series done in August. Oh my god, I'm so excited. The reread just like hits different. So this is Rachel's first time rereading it. So Christina, whenever you do decide to reread it, it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait after Kingdom of Ash to like point out the foreshadowing to you so that you'll be like
excited.
Because when you reread it, you're like, from the first book, you're like, oh my god.
That's
It's
so
amazing.
wild to me. How Sarah J. Maas is able to do that still blows my mind.
Yeah, I love that. Hello, Lachlan. Lysandra is my favorite female character in Throne of Glass other than Aelin, which I think is a very unpopular opinion. Lysandra is so helpful and willing to fight and so down for everything. I think she would be my favorite as well after Aelin. Like Aelin's my favorite.
Same. I love Manon. Don't get me wrong. I love Manon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I might like Manon a little bit better than Lysandra.
That's it. Just oh gosh, yeah, Lysandra Manon, man, it's just it's hard over there. But
speaking of Manon, she takes down her grandmother, right?
Yes,
Which
she does.
I think that was in the first half of like the part 1 of our tandem read. But then we know she gets like gutted pretty much by her grandmother, and her and Abraxos fly away, and she is not doing super well. And she says like, take me somewhere safe. And Abraxos brings her to Aelin and the crew. That is so, I just love Abraxos. He's
I love
so
Abraxos.
freaking intelligent.
Honestly,
like, you'll be safe with these people. These are good people.
I love Abraxos. The way he was just like, yeah, here's your safe place. And it's just, I love him.
Manon is such a good character.
I love her.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, like, I don't want to like rank the females, you know, because I don't feel
so
super
hard.
great about that. But like, I just love them all. We love them all. I like Lysandra the best. She's amazing, especially with her past and everything. She's so strong. She literally is so strong. In her past, like the way that she can like overcome those things and the way that she just lives her life. Oh, I just love her.
She's, oh my god, she's so
Lachlan. Name like Carmelon. I love that.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome. Okay. Lorcan and Alid. They have a lot going on in the second half of Empire of Storms.
Oh
There's
gosh.
an attack on the carnival caravan that they're with, where Lorcan actually discovers that she's been lying to him, which is kind of funny because like she's like this weak little human, and he's supposed to be like this big badass like 500-year-old fae, and he's like, I got tricked. I love that.
Oh god.
And then finally, Alid finds out that Selena and Aelin are the same person. So I have like from the moment where she's like, first I have to find Selena Sardathian and then I have to find my queen. From the moment she said that, I'm like, I just want her to know so badly.
I know.
They're the same person.
God. There were so many times where I was just like, oh, can I tell her? Can I please just tell her? Dang it. Where I have it somewhere.
Lachlan, it's been so long since I read and can remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, it just sticks with you.
Literally, I have it on page 110, the entire thing highlighted, where she's like, I owe a debt to a friend.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
I love it. Then Vernon ends up finding Alid, and Lorcan is like trying to save her, and Vernon almost convinces her that Lorcan like left without her and doesn't care about her, even though we know that's not true. And she like holds tight to her promise too, saying like she would rather die than go back to Morath. Yeah. And I just remember that scene where she's like holding the knife to her throat. She's like, I am not going back. And Lorcan's like, that's when he knew true fear. And I'm like, you love her. Don't even pretend like you are in love with her.
Lorcan, honestly, he was annoying me a lot. I was just like, what is wrong with you? Like, why can you not see what's right in front of you? Like,
he's interesting.
He's something, man. He is something.
Yeah. I like his character though, because it's like he's like the grumpy sunshine, but he's like extra grumpy, you
Here's
know?
the thing, there were times where I was like, "Oh, and I love him," and then there were times where like, "What is wrong with you?" Like, I swear I can actually like smack you across the head.
Some of
Like,
the stuff he says and does, I'm like,
it's so
you're an
frustrating
imbecile.
sometimes. He was so frustrating at times, but then there were other times where I really did genuinely love his character.
Yeah. I just love that, like, the little things that show how much he actually cares about a lead, but then he's, like, trying to convince himself that he doesn't. He's like, "I'll leave her at a moment's notice."
Yeah.
And then as soon as he could, he's like, "I'm gonna die for her." Like, you're like,
Every single
"Oh."
time. It literally happens like what, 3 or 4 times at
Yeah,
least.
I'm like, "Quit lying to yourself.
Yeah,
Quit
it
lying to
happens
yourself."
all the time.
Lachlan, you need to reread it. Yes, you do. I agree with my mind, body, soul.
So
You really do, Lachlan. All right. Oh, and then we get that moment of Alid and Lorcan kissing, which is a cute moment. Kale walks
Yes!
and kisses Irene. They have that like little fight almost.
Yes.
And she's gonna leave, and he's like, "Oh my god, no, don't leave me." And he like takes a step towards her, and then they kiss.
Yes. I really like that moment too. I like the way Irene, even though she was still struck emotionally, she still was like thinking him on, so because she knew that it would motivate him to walk.
Right.
So she's taking a step back so he can take a step toward her, and I like that a lot.
That was, I mean, that like the things that he said though right before that, I was like, this is why I don't like you.
Yeah, and it's like the minute he says it too, he's like, "I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. You know, I don't believe any of that." It's like, okay, but you still said it. Like, yeah, now she's crying. No shit, because you said the things you said.
Right. Just, I don't know. We're not, I could go on and on about how much I don't like Kale and how annoying he is. So everybody knows that. We'll just breeze past it. Oh, we find out the Eye of Elena is actually a witch symbol, and it's called the Eye of the Goddess.
Oh my god,
I thought that was really fascinating.
I thought it was insane when I found out. God dang it, where did I put it?
I have so many tabs that it's like
Overwhelming.
I'll never find what I'm looking for just by looking at the tabs.
Yeah, it's never gonna come up at this point. But oh my god, I was shooketh, and I like the way she explained it too. That's why I want to find it somewhere. Ugh, no, I can't find it. God dang
it. We also get that scene where Nezrin, Sartak, and Kadara are trapped and attacked by the Karen Kui, which are like the Stygian spiders, basically.
That thing. Yeah.
We switched books for a while there, but where am I? My notes are all jumbled. I should really start numbering my pages.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we'll just go with this all, even though that happens like at separate times. But so Sartak and Nezrin get attacked by the spiders, and Sartak gets taken by them.
Oh,
and then he tells Nezrin that he loves her. And then Nezrin and Falcon come and rescue him. And then that's when they discover that Maeve is actually Vogue, not Faye. Which is like a big reveal. Like that's why that book is like actually important to read. I mean, you meet all of those characters on the Southern Continent, which are inevitably going to come back like and be important to Kingdom of Ash. So if you just read Kingdom of Ash without reading Tower of Dawn, you're like, who are these people? But that reveal is like important. Like that's a huge reveal that she is actually not Faye. She is Valg.
Yeah, she's Vogue, which is insane, by the way. Because I remember when I read that, I was like, wait a minute. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in here somewhere. I can't find it now.
Then we are with Aelin and the gang, and they get attacked in the stone marshes. And then like that at the same time, Lorcan and Alid are like super close to them, and they send them that warning that this army is coming. This is also the part where Adian makes the comment like to Aelin about her like being a shitty ruler basically and saying like, where
Yeah.
are our allies? And obviously with the ending of Empire of Storms, like we know that she was working up to that and like she had a plan and she didn't want to reveal it in case it failed because she didn't want to let them down. But like this whole time she had a plan and she just lets Adian like be a dick to her.
Oh my god, it hit so hard too because even he was like, at the end at least, he was just like she let me scream in her face. She just took
Right.
it. She let me just like pin her down and stuff. And it's like everything he said to her, she did. She just didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, because she has like this fear of failure basically, and she doesn't want to tell them her plan in case it doesn't go right. We also get the scene of like how powerful she is and how she just obliterates that Ilkin army. So one of the
Oh
quotes
my
is on
god.
page 522,
Mm-hmm.
where it says, "The true might of Aelin Firebringer, not an ember less." And then on the next page it says, "Aelin soared into the uncharted core of her power. The inferno went on and on." And I just love like those mentions of how powerful she truly is. Like
It's
it's just
insane.
it's insane. It's just really cool.
Genuinely insane. Because you know what it is too, because you also just know Aelin so much as a like you just know her character and you kind of get to know her herself. And it's like she doesn't like when you're in her POV, she doesn't understand her power sometimes. Like she is almost just so like she just doesn't see her power at all sometimes. Like she
Right.
forgets how powerful she genuinely is. And I think that you also tend to forget how powerful she genuinely is until she just fucking obliterates a whole fucking thing.
Right. Or like
It's
you know that she's powerful, but you just don't realize the extent
insane.
of
Yeah,
how
exactly.
powerful she truly is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get in the Stone Marshes after Aelin takes out that Ilkin army, we get the reunion with Alid and Aelin, which is beautiful because this whole time Alid is like, I'll wash her laundry if I have to. She's not gonna remember who I am. Like I'm just gonna be like, dirt on the bottom of her shoe. She won't know me. And then as soon as she steps in, Aelin like starts crying and falls to her knees. I love that part and where she's like, "You look so much like your mother," and then she finally is able to tell Alid her mother's last words, which were, "Tell my Alid I love her," and that part is just, like, so sweet, and Aylin's been carrying I know. Aylin's been carrying those last words with her from the moment she was 8 years old.
Oh my god.
That reunion is really awesome,
That
but this
reading literally sparked a tear in me
yeah,
because I remember reading it and I was just like, I couldn't like my entire heart was just starting to break because it's like she did it, like a lead founder, and a
yeah,
lead.
and, like, to get that reunion because even Lorcan was like, "I wonder how she's gonna react to this, like, if she's mean to a lead," like and then we get the actual reunion, and Aelin is, like, on her knees in tears. It just like, people always assume the worst of Aelin, and
I know
she has such a big heart
she's
that
just a genuinely good person, y'all. Like she is just she
yeah,
wants good in the world,
yeah.
and the minute she just saw a lead too, it's like she instantly knew.
Tearing up. I know. Honestly, though, it makes you, like, get so emotional because you've been waiting for it the entire book, and when
No,
it finally happens and it's, like, this beautiful moment between them,
it was
and,
so
like,
sudden.
Aelin is, like, instantly possessive of Alid. She's like, "Thanks, Lorcan, for getting her to her safely," and she's like, "I'm not giving her up." Because then we get the reunion between Alid and Manon,
Mhm.
who we know, like, Manon is kind of like Lorcan in the fact that she's, like, trying to deny that she even has feelings, but she very clearly cares for Alid, and that reunion is, like, really nice because Manon at the time still I think she still thinks that the 13 are dead.
Yeah, at that point, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not for much longer, but at that point, yes.
Yeah, she still thinks that. So we get all of that, and then we finally get a lead giving the word key that she got from Caltaine and telling her, the whole thing about Caltaine like saved my life. And even Dorian is like Caltaine Rompier, like she did that. And I like that part because they realize how sorely they misjudged Caltaine.
Yeah.
She is one character that I really wanted to like she deserved better, you know?
I can see that, yeah.
Like, I like what she did for the story, and I like her, how powerful she was and how she was like, "I'm gonna, take the last bits of my power and help save this human girl," basically. But I after seeing, like, all this bad stuff that happened to Kaltain, even though she was kind of not the greatest in Throne of Glass, I just don't think that she deserved that.
Oh my god, in Throne of Glass,
I love that Manan and Alita are their own grumpy
I
sunshine too.
I saw
Literally, I love that. I love that Manan
so
also
good.
is, like, super protective.
Yeah. Manon is like her big sister, kind of, like, that's
Yeah.
kind of how I see it's like big sister, little sister type-esque, and I love how
That's why it's kind of funny because, like, Alita is here like, "I'll do the queen's laundry," and then she has Lorcan, 500-year-old powerful Fae warrior, Aelin, queen of the realm, probably the most powerful Fae in the world. And then Manon, who is like a literal witch queen, all like fighting over her. Like, no, Elite is with us.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I love
honey.
that.
I love Elite so much. I love her character too.
I
And I
love
think
Elite.
her character also grows a lot in Empire of Storms also, like, because I just feel like she was just
Yeah.
I love
She's
Elite.
kind of scared in Queen of Shadows, and then in Empire of Storms, you really get to see how clever she is. And like, she's not like this badass warrior like Manon and Aelin are, but she's so smart. She's so
She's also
intelligent
just
that,
so strong also, like,
yeah,
you genuinely see how strong and how much she genuinely does just love Aelin and how much she loves, like, just she knew what she wanted, and she
yeah,
just wanted to get the word key to Aelin. That was it.
yeah. Hi, Quinn. I'm 80 pages from finishing Kingdom of Ash.
Oh my god.
I love it. I can't wait to discuss Kingdom of Ash because then we not only get to discuss Kingdom of Ash, but like the whole series.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. We also get Ansel coming back. Like, we get
Yeah.
that whole thing. We've been waiting for it because like you knew it was gonna happen at some point because like obviously the short stories and the Assassin's Blade are very important to the series. There's a reason why you read it. But it was just awesome getting her coming back and like having her and Aelin fall into that friendship that they had in the desert. And like Ansel's like, "Oh, I got your message loud and clear. Like you were in the pits fighting as Ansel of Briarcliff." And it's like Aelin had that planned. Like the red hair, she did that stuff on purpose.
Aelin is just like insane. Like, there's no other word to describe
The way
it.
her mind works.
Like, how? How do you do all that? And she does
She's
it
like
by herself.
Right. And she's like 10 steps ahead of everyone. Like she
Everyone.
always has a plan going.
And she has a backup plan to everything that can possibly go wrong. She
Yeah.
knows what like she has to do. Ugh.
Yeah. So then shortly after that, we get Maeve's Armada. So we know Maeve has been like coming down the coast and setting fires in Eelway, which we know is important because it's so important to Aelin. And Maeve knows that. She's just such a bitch. So anyways, we get Maeve's Armada and they say like, Aelin, you need to surrender. We're gonna attack your ships. And then they really are like stuck in this place because like Aelin has been using her fire magic to put out the fires in Eelway, so she's been slowly draining her magic. And that's when Maeve chose to strike. So it's like they don't have like the full might of their like crew, you know? And then we get Rowan going to talk to his cousins that are in Maeve's Armada and like asking them to switch. And like we just get them like talking it through. But later on, we find out that Rowan basically begs his cousins to turn on their own because of how much he loves Aelin. And he's like, I can't offer her anything, but I could do this. Like, I just love that.
I love him. Love him with my entire soul.
Oh, wait, that's why she had red hair in Queen of Shadows in the beginning. Am I just now realizing this? I thought it was just like a general disguise. Yeah, so basically it had two reasons, the red hair. It made her look like whatever Arabin's like associate was so that their deal would fall through or something like that. Cormac something was his name. And then she used the red hair as like to be like Ansel. So it played two parts in it. which I just love because she's so intelligent.
I didn't even put that together until like
Well, the first part they mention in Queen of Shadows, like Arabin says, like, you did that on purpose, and she's like, hell yeah, I did.
yeah.
But yeah, the red hair for Ansel is
That's just like
yeah, she's next level.
he's just oh my god, that's like blowing my mind right now.
She is such a genius. Honestly, like that's why this series is my favorite because not only like the situation, the world, the characters, but also the planning that this had to have taken, the foreshadowing that is involved with this series. It is just unmatched. It's incredible. Like Sarah J. Maas's other series have a lot of foreshadowing in them, but this one I just feel like is perfection.
Next level.
Yeah, she's amazing. Let's see, what else? Oh, with that armada, right? Rowan is going to talk to his cousins and asking them to switch. During that time, Manon and Aelin go into this like witch mirror and they get to see some of the past. So we see Nehemia again and we find out like she knew going to Rifthold that she was never going to come back. Like she knew that. And we see Elena kind of coaching her through that and saying like one of them needs to be ready, either Selena or Dorian. And then they decide that it's Aelin who is like the most ready. Dorian's not ready yet because one of them is going to have to forfeit their life in order to seal the lock and get Erewhon out of this world. So there is this great sacrifice at stake here that somebody from Mala Firebringer's line, which is Dorian and Aelin, one of them has to give their whole power, their life force, everything to seal the gate, which we've been kind of building up to, but like hearing it said that one of them is going to have to die in order for them to solve this problem. And then we also see why, because Elena was like dumb and stole the lock to seal him when she could have used it to banish him, and basically just dumps this problem on another generation, which is so heartbreaking because it could have been solved. Ugh, that part just frustrates me. It makes me not like Elena because I'm like, you dumb bitch.
I just can't believe the fact that like it didn't have to happen this way, you know what I mean? Like that's what's so
Right.
frustrating
It's
about
so frustrating because it could have all been solved. Like Brandon had a plan and Elena was like, I know better. I'm going to do this.
She was being a little brat.
Yep. So we know that Elena's bloodline, Mala's bloodline, is the one who has to pay the price. And that's why they've been saying nameless is my price for
The entire
6-7 books now. Like that's the mark of Brandon. He's like the bastard nobody, like nameless is what it is, and that's that mark that's on Aelin's brow that we see from Throne of Glass, and finally we realize like what that means. And that's why like whenever they say nameless is my price, it's like it just hits different now. Kale can walk, like actually walk now. They go Irene goes in like into his mind or something.
Oh yeah.
And like helps him work through the darkness so that it like she fights it back and whatever and he can walk.
Yeah. The way she was like, oh, I want to try something that she wanted to experiment with, and she like goes and oh my god, it was so wild.
Then we get Maeve's attack, and the people that Rowan talked to turn on Maeve's army. Like every single one that he talked to turned. We get Maeve capturing a lead, and then Manon and Aelin get like after they see everything, after they get all these answers, they come back, land on that beach where Maeve has a lead, and then they're both like stuck because neither of them wants to do anything that could hurt a lead. And it's all Lorcan's fault because he was trying to save a lead. I can't even remember from what. Oh, when Ansel's army comes, he thinks that they're going to be attacked, so he like sends out like this plea to Maeve to come save her.
Yeah.
And that's why Maeve is there. And then the 13 come with Abraxos because Abraxos was gone, and he went and found them and was like, "Follow me."
Come on.
And then we get like the heartbreaking chapters where Maeve reveals that Rowan and Aelin are mates. And that this whole time she has been like working his mind to make him think that Lyria was his mate when she wasn't, and that Maeve was behind her murder so that Rowan would break and like join her army basically. She's such a bitch.
It's just like, why?
But like also such a good villain, like because I love to hate her.
True.
But yeah, we find out that Aelin and Rowan are mates, and that Rowan found out in Queen of Shadows when Asterin accidentally shoots Rowan when she's trying to shoot Aelin, and Rowan steps in front and she like realizes right then.
And the fact that she doesn't either, like
what?
The fact that Aelin finds out that she knows Rowan's her mate, and the way she doesn't tell Rowan just because like she doesn't
she's trying to protect him.
Yeah, because like she doesn't want to be like, I don't even know how to put it into words, but like she doesn't want
to force it on him and make him feel guilty for Lyria because it's not his fault.
Not his fault. And it's like, even though she knows and she could have told him this, but she doesn't want to break him. Like she doesn't want to break his heart. She doesn't want to hurt him. She doesn't want to make his feelings for Lyria any less than what they were. And it's like the fact that she loves him so much to be like, I know you're my mate, but I won't tell you because I don't want to hurt you. Like she doesn't want him to feel like obligated to do something because they're mates. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Oh God, it just.
Yeah. And then we get Aelin's goodbye where she tells them. Page 660. I'm gonna flip over to it. But basically she
like tear marks on page.
Yeah. She knows that she's gonna be taken here. And she tells, who is she telling? Elide to tell Rowan that I'm sorry I lied, but tell him it was all borrowed time anyway. Even before today, I knew it was all just borrowed time. But I still wish we had more of it. She thought past her trembling mouth. Tell him he has to fight. He must save Terrasen and remember the vows he made to me. And tell him thank you for walking that dark path with me back to the light. I'm literally gonna cry.
I'm right here. Right here. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, that line though, tell him thank you for walking that dark path with me back to the light. Like, I can't. And then immediately after that, we see the iron chains, the iron box. Rachel's like, I'm tearing up again. Yeah, same. Literally.
I have tears, y'all. Tears. Do you see that?
This ending is brutal.
Oh my God.
And then right after that, Maeve says, rumor claims that you will bow to no one, heir of fire. Well, now you will bow to me.
No, she doesn't.
And then they pull out that guy, Cairn. Yeah, Adrian. We're all tearing up. But then they're going to whip her, which we know is like, it's like a thing. She's been whipped before, and like how much that affects her, and the fact that she has to do it in order to save Elide. It's so heartbreaking. And then they whip her, and like Maeve is like, you're gonna count every single one of these.
Uses too.
And then she doesn't. So she's like, every time you don't count, we're starting it over.
Oh my God. I remember cringing.
Yeah, until the point where like even Maeve's guards are like, there's not going to be anything left of her if you keep doing this. So they have to stop, and then they put her in that iron box so she can't use any of her magic. She's got an iron mask on her face. She's like locked up, and they lay her down on her like massacred back. Yeah, that part. Oh God, that part.
I remember reading that part, and just like my body was just like this. Like just like I was like bent over in pain, in tears. And I was just like, how is she doing this? Like, how is she just taking this? Like,
Yeah.
you know that she is in excruciating pain.
And like
And she just
Aelin
takes it.
even says, like, because she has the tattoos that Rowan gave her over her scars from Endovier.
Mhm.
And Aelin says, like, Karen, the guy who's gonna whip her, like, smirks at them, and she's like, she just knew he was gonna take some kind of pleasure of destroying those. And so those tattoos that were so lovingly done by Rowan are completely obliterated. My heart is just broken. And then, of course, Maeve takes Aelin. And then all of Aelin's plan comes together. Like, literally right after that, the Ash Rivers come, the
Everyone.
Silent Assassins come back, and then the quote on page 683. So on page 683, Rowan is like looking at everything that Aelin's done for Terrasen, for them, for a better world. Aelin Galathynius had raised an army not to just challenge Morath, but to rattle the stars.
Yeah.
The fact that that keeps coming up too, like, and that she had this plan the whole time, and they just arrived like moments too late.
Right there.
And like the Silent Assassins come up, and they're like, Selena Sardothian called in her favor, and the Ash Rivers come because they're like, she basically like says this sassy little note that says like, I remember, do you? And they come to help her.
Oh my
And
God.
then we have the truly heartbreaking part is that Lysandra has to pretend to be Aelin. And that we know that they had this plan
When she was puking
hundreds of pages ago, where Aelin like throws up and she's like, I finally know like what needs to be done. And for Terrasen, I have to have somebody, like, I have to do this. And it's just like the amount of sacrifices that she does for her, like, for her people. And then we go back to the beginning of the book where Daryl's like, you don't even deserve to be queen. And we have her doing all of this stuff for her own people. It's like, Daryl could never. And then we have the scene where Rowan finally makes it to the beach after the like ship armada battle, and he says, where's Aelin? Where's my wife?
I can't. I hurt my soul. It hurt my whole soul.
And he finds her bloodied shirt. Just like the frantic panic, and that like the fact that Alid tells him everything, and he's like, I will find you. And that's how Empire of Storms basically ends, is like him searching the world for her, and he's like, I will find you.
Oh my God, my heart.
I literally wrote in my notes, I literally want to throw up and sob for days. That ending fucking kills me. And then, so that is the end of Empire of Storms. And then we have to finish the ending of Tower of Dawn. So we go back to Irene's point of view. She has this theory that she can purge the Valg out of their human hosts. In which case, that would like solve everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it takes a lot of her magic and her healing, but rather than killing everybody, she finds out that she can purge the Valg out of their hosts and still save the humans. And then we find out that Hafiza, the healer on high, is kidnapped by Duva. Did you expect that?
No. I was
I
like,
didn't either.
oh my God. When I read that, I was like, wait a minute. I forgot about Duva, by the way. Like for like a hot second.
Yeah.
I was like, who the hell? And
Yeah.
then it took me a minute to remember who the heck it even was. I was like, because like I kept reading and then you figure it out.
Well, just like every other time that she's brought up, it's brought up like how sweet and mild she is, and how she's like extremely pregnant. And so like she was like bottom of my suspect list. And then all of a sudden, like heavily pregnant Duva walks out, and I'm like, what?
When they said rounded belly, I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Yeah. I could not. I remember because I was listening to the audiobook, because I, mind you, having to read this after finishing Empire of Storms, I couldn't. I was still like not emotionally attached.
Right.
So I'm like listening to the audiobook in my kitchen, and I'm like, oh, That's all that came out of me was,
Yeah.
and then my
See,
boyfriend.
I had to take a break after finishing Empire of Storms because you finish Empire of Storms and then you still have like 50 or 60 pages left of Tower of Dawn, and I'm like, I cannot. I had to take a break, but yeah, I just remember like being so shocked that it was Duva because she was never in my suspect list.
No.
And then obviously she's been taken over by a Valg, but we find out it's a Valg princess who are apparently even more powerful than the princes. So and then like I don't think anybody knew that Valg princesses were a thing, which is
Yeah.
also why like finding out that Maeve is a Valg queen, like is such a like hits different because like this whole time everything is referenced to the Valg princes and the Valg kings and the Valg foot soldiers, all of that. But there's never been any mention of like female Valg. And then of course Duva tries to attack Irene with like the magic or whatever, and Kale dives in front of her and re-injures his back. Like you were just healed like 2 pages ago, and now you're
Spline is just gone.
back at
Spline's
square
gone.
one. And then of course Irene tries to save him after she like purges the Valg out of Duva. She goes over to try to save Kale's life because he's like not just like re-paralyzed again, but like dying.
Yeah.
And so she like actually communicates with Silva, the god of healing or goddess of healing. I don't know if that matters, but so she like pays the debt in order to save his life and kind of like links their life forces.
Yeah.
So as long as Irene's magic is at her fullest, Kale can walk. But as soon as she drains it, he'll need to use a cane or reuse the wheelchair. So speaking of that, how do we feel about that situation? Because I know a lot of people were upset that like we could have had this great representation for a disability, and then she just like healed it like that, and now he's back to normal. And then we get okay, he's re-injured, so now he's disabled again, but he has the like this magic ability to be able to walk sometimes, but need his wheelchair other times. Like, how do we feel about that representation?
So I remember reading it. I remember getting emotional when Kale was dying because for a second I thought he was going to die. Like I didn't think he would die, but like I thought he was actually like I thought it was possibly a possibility. So I remember getting very emotional because of Irene. I remember being like, Irene she did so much. Kale also went through so much, and he eventually was like healed. He was walking. It was great, and then in a matter of seconds, all of the work that Irene and him put in to try to actually help it just didn't like thing. But also at this point, you also see a difference in Kale from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, where it's like in the beginning of the book, he didn't want to be restrained. He didn't want to be in a wheelchair. He hated everything about everything. And then at the end of the book, he just didn't care. At the end of the book, it's like a chair or a cane is nothing as long as I'm with Irene, as long as I'm here in this world. That's all he cared about. So I like seeing his character develop. And even him being like, he's like, it didn't matter to me if I could or couldn't walk. As long as I'm here with Irene, that's all I really care about. And I like seeing that character growth with Kale also being like, you know what? Yeah, he knows that he has this like amazing ability now where he is linked to Irene. And when Irene's power is at her fullest, he is able to walk. But in his reality, he really doesn't care. If he had to be stuck to a chair his entire life, he wouldn't have cared. He would have been okay with that. He would have been okay with it. He finally got to the place where he was like, you know what? She loved me when I was in a chair in the beginning. I saw that. She never like looked down on me. She never like did anything against me or anything like that, even when he was in a chair at the very beginning. And I loved seeing that. I loved seeing his character growth becoming like, okay, this is my reality. Because I feel like that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people have a lot of hate, especially when you become paralyzed and you have so many of these disabilities. And it has to be hard. I can't even imagine how that must feel like. It has to be hard going from being able to live your life the way that most people do to now having to reassess everything and having to relearn how to do everything. And I understood Kale's hate at the beginning. I understood why he was so angry. I understood why he just felt so like looked down upon, especially because he was like this like what the heck was he?
Like the captain of the guard.
Thank you, captain. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not king. What the heck is the word? He was captain of the guard. He was like, he always knew how to, he was always in control of himself almost. And having to give up that control and now finally succumbing to the fact that, you know what? As long as I get to live, I'm alive, and I'm alive with someone that I genuinely love, because we all know he falls in love with Irene.
Mhm.
It's like, I loved seeing that. Loved seeing that. And I loved being, because I honestly, I would have, I thought he was going to end up in a wheelchair. That's the ending I expected. I thought he was going to just be in a wheelchair and a cane, which is fine. But I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about the ending.
Rachel said, I like this. I think for the representation aspect, him dealing with this disability for life and the ups and downs is much more realistic than it magically being fixed and everything being okay again. Yeah, I would agree with that because, like, when when Irene fixes his spine and he is able to walk again, I was kind of like, is that a cop out? Like,
Yeah.
we have this great representation of a disabled character. We get to work through his frustrations of it, which is very realistic, I feel like. And the emotional impact that had on him, and he works through that, like you said, to that point where he eventually accepts his
Yeah.
abilities and his disability. Um, but then to have it like magically be fixed is like kind of a cop out. So then when he re-injures it, and now she has to like link his life force, to Irene, and he can walk sometimes, but not always. I'm glad that that Sarah J. Maas still kept that aspect in,
Yeah.
because if he was just magically like healed and everything was okay again, I think I would be way more upset about it. But like I wouldn't have I would have almost preferred him to stay disabled, because like it's just good representation to see him like training with those guards who are also disabled, and like see him learning all of that. Like I think I would have liked that more than him just being like, sometimes I'm okay, sometimes I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But I still am happy that it just didn't end with him being like, magically everything is back to normal.
Because you know what it was too? It was almost like it was like a flip of a page almost, right? Like one minute he's just like dealing with it, right? He's just there, and then out of nowhere, Irene comes up with this idea to like go into his freaking body and like try to undo a bunch of stuff, and then it works, and magically he walks, and it's like that's just not realistic. Like, yeah, obviously this is fantasy, but like,
Right, but to take that representation away just
yeah,
because this world has magic just seemed
yeah.
like a cop out. So I'm glad that he still has some of that disability.
Yeah, and I liked it that when Irene was trying to heal him, it wasn't easy. It was painful. And that's just like that's realistic. It's not going to be easy. And a lot of things that these disability does not make things easy. It is hard and painful to do a lot of things. And it's just like you don't think about that sometimes. And I liked reading about that. And like him just being able to walk out of nowhere, I mean, you're right. It felt like a cop out.
Yeah. So I am glad that there's at least some representation. And I know that there is, like, in our world, there is the like people who can walk or need a cane, and then when they get like their muscles get too tired or whatever, like they actually do need a wheelchair, and that's when they're like, I get that. But yeah, I don't know, I was curious because I know that is one of the critiques of this book, is that like they had this amazing chance to have some disabled representation, and it was kind of thwarted. So
Yeah.
so we get more Sartak and Nezrin content, right? They're like in love, and he's like, I will follow you to the ends of the earth, which like their relationship, it feels very insta love, but I was here for it.
I loved it. It was
Yeah.
definitely insta lovey. Even though I like slow burn, but I felt like it was done well with them. Like, yeah, it was insta lovey, but I liked it. I enjoyed
I
reading.
can see why they work together, and I think that's why I liked it, is that like they had a build up to it, even though it was all in one book. Like it
Yeah,
was pretty quick, but I still liked it. I like them together.
I loved reading about their like when we came up like to their chapters. I was just having a good old time. They were cute. I liked them. They were very cute.
I like them. They're like my favorite part about Tower of
Yeah,
Dawn was Nesrin and Sartak's both of their points of view. Then, of course, we get the ending where we find out that Kale and Irene are married, and they're going back, like, the what's his name? The great Coggin, like, finds out, like, Irene is the one who saved his daughter, and the baby is fine, everything's fine, and he's like, anything you want, just ask it of me and I'll give it to you. And Irene just says, save my people, or help my people, whatever it is she says. And so they agree to finally aid in the war that is happening in Aurelia, and they're gonna have Rook Riders now, and they got all this backup, which was awesome. And I love that Irene is the one that made that happen, not Kale and not Nezrin. Like, I love that Irene is the one who's like, she kind of fled her country almost, not really fled, but like she was on the run a bit because she had this magic, and she's kind of always resented Otterlin. And now she's like, I want to go back. I want to fight for it. I want to purge as many of the Valg out of these people as I can. Like, there is hope. Because she even talks about, like, how Kale and his men, like, were actually good men. They're just in a terrible situation. So they're going back to Aurelia, where they're going to assumedly hook up with the rest of the crew. And we finally get the scene where Irene shows Kale the note that she's been carrying with her forever. And he realizes that it was Aelin who wrote that note, because she's mentioned it several times, like, or wherever you need to go and then some, the world needs more healers. And he realizes, like, that Aelin was behind all of that, and that Aelin helped save her. And, like, that's why Irene does the self-defense classes and all of that. I love that reveal too, because Kale gets so emotional when he figures out that it's Aelin.
I love it.
I love that. Let me find it. Yeah, so he unfolds the note and reads the words he already knew were within. For wherever you need to go and then some, the world needs more healers. The waves quieted. The ship itself seemed to pause. Kale glanced to Irene, smiling serenely at the sea, then to the note, the handwriting he knew as well as his own. And when she says, like, what's wrong? Because she was originally going to, like, throw the note out because she's like, I don't really need it anymore. Like, it was kind of like a safety blanket for her. And Kale looked up at last, blinking away tears as he scanned his wife's face. Every beautiful line, those golden eyes, a gift from a queen who had seen another woman in hell and thought to reach back a hand, with no thought of it ever being returned. A moment of kindness, a tug on a thread. And even Aelin could not have known that in saving a barmaid from those mercenaries, in teaching her to defend herself, in giving her that gold and this note, even Aelin could not have known or dreamed or guessed how that moment of kindness would be answered. Not just by a healer blessed by Silva herself, capable of wiping the Valg away, but by the 300 healers who had come with her, the 300 healers from the Torre and the Rook Riders and all of that. Like, if she hadn't saved Irene from that, if Irene had never gone to the southern continent, we would never have any of this. And then Kale folded the note along its well-worn lines and carefully set it back within Irene's locket. Keep it a while longer, he said softly. I think there's someone who will want to see that. Irene's eyes filled with surprise and curiosity, but she said nothing as Kale again slid his arms around her and held her tightly. So, like, he doesn't even tell her that, and, like, I just do. That part, that reveal is just so amazing. Because we've been waiting it. As soon as Irene steps onto the page in Tower of Dawn, we get thrown back to Assassin's Blade, and we're like, that's her. That's the healer.
And mind you, the healer was one of my favorite stories from Assassin's Blade. I loved the healer story.
Yeah.
Even though it was the shortest story, I loved the story.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Irene, and it's like, makes you so happy.
Yeah. And then, of course, Tower of Dawn ends with a chapter titled Fireheart. And we just get Aelin's point of view as she's, like, trapped in there. And it says, like, she's trapped in the coffin, drifted. She dreamed, drifted through the seas, through darkness, through fire, a princess of nothing, nameless. And then they get there, and Manon says, or not Manon, Maeve says, you're awake. Good. Let's begin. And that's where we leave off. That's where we know Kingdom of Ash is headed.
I'm not ready. I'm ready, but I'm not ready.
Oh, yeah, that, I mean, and like, I'm glad that originally when I read it, when Tower of Dawn came out, I'm like, we're going to get nothing. We're going to get nothing. This is just going to be in Southern Continent. And then the book ends with the Fireheart chapter. And I was like, my heart was just ripped to shreds with those like few words. It's not even like a full page, I don't think, of that chapter. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not equipped for this kind of emotional damage.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to discuss? I went through my very detailed notes.
I think you literally covered every single detail. I'm thinking, I think you got it all.
I like to keep very detailed notes so I don't forget to say anything.
I'm terrible with doing all that stuff.
And we went through everything. So, yeah. All right. Well, that is a wrap on Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn then. So now we are moving on, like we said earlier, we are moving on to Kingdom of Ash. And again, since it's so chunky, it's like 1,000 pages, we are going to spend 3 weeks reading this one. So we'll probably do reading sprints. Christina and I are honestly doing reading sprints like all month, basically, because of Questathon. So I don't know that they'll be specifically like our Kingdom of Ash reading sprints. Maybe they will be. But if you do want to hop on sprints with either of us, we'll be doing them throughout the month for Questathon. So just keep an eye on that. So make sure you're subscribed to both of our channels. Christina's channel is linked down below. You're on my channel, so hopefully you're already subscribed, as well as the rest of the information you need for the read along. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to discussing Kingdom of Ash. Join our Discord, so because it's so long, like we can, talk about it as we read it. And then if there's anything like specific that you want to make sure that we talk about in the live show, you can leave it in there. But yeah, this has been an awesome discussion. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Adrian. I know that you're like, an insane reader and you probably finished these books months ago, but thank you all for joining us so much. And we will see you all in the next reading sprints, live shows, all of that. So make sure you're following us on YouTube, on Instagram.
Hannah, aren't you doing live like tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing live reading sprints tomorrow. I'm doing them on my channel at 1 Central Time. So I'm not sure if anybody's going to be joining me. God, I hope so.
I think I should be able to.
Okay, thank God. So at least me and Christina will be on reading sprints then. I'm sure there will be other Questathon hosts that will be joining us. So if you do want to hop on that, they'll be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Thanks for reminding me of that. Rachel will be there. So we'll have the whole Sarah J. Maas crew basically.
Yes.
So, again, thank you all so much for sticking around, discussing it with us, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye.